Hey everybody, we're back again. I'm going to clean up one or two things that I didn't do very well in my UI. It'll take 10 seconds here. The play again button I left as button 5, and I'm not going to like that later, so I'm going to call this play again button. And I think the image, maybe just for the sake of continuity, I'm going to call this the logo image. So from there, I think we're pretty good. So let's get to part 2. We're going to start to talk about what we want this game to do. Now, I know it can be kind of overwhelming if you're a programmer looking at a task like this, and you kind of can't take off too big of a bite early. You might get yourself into trouble, and then if you try to run it and it doesn't work, you don't even know like what part doesn't work. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys what I would call something of a bottom-up design, meaning I'm going to get some small functionality working, and then I'm going to build up from there to a bigger picture. Okay, so this would be bottom-up design. If you're taking AP Computer Science Principles, you may recognize that approach from your coursework with your teacher. So here would be a good example of that. Now what I'm going to do, my goals for this video, let's see, I'm not going to use the blocks. And I actually, this video, I'm not going to use the blocks. I recommend that you don't either if you can help it. Okay, coding with blocks is nice. But as soon as you feel like you're brave enough, you should ditch the blocks. It's just a better way to go, okay? Because most programming languages that are really useful in the world are not block-based, okay? So if you feel like you're ready to take off the training wheels, then go ahead and go to the show text up here. Instead of, if for yours it might say show text, go ahead and click that and join me in this text encoding, okay? So I'd like to get the lights to flash. And then maybe even how about this? Get a sequence of lights to flash. Okay, so this is going to take a little bit of time, but let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to target the green button first, okay? So if I could, there's this function called onEvent, and if you're still coding with blocks, you can find all these things with me. onEvent takes 3 parameters. The ID of the button that you're talking about, or the element that you're talking about, what type of event you're listening for, and the callback is basically the instructions for what to do when that event happens, okay? So what I'm talking about is the green button. Now what type, if I hit a comma, and notice that green button is in quotations, it needs to be in quotations. I want to do mouse down. I know click is interesting, but I've found that click means you have to wait for the button to come up again. So don't really want to do that, right? I want to just when I press the mouse down, that it lights up. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to mouse down, and then to write a function here. Now, if you're using blocks, this is all kind of like all done for you. Is we're going to define something in here. We're going to define a function all in this space right here, this little space. We're going to create a function, okay, and it'll be an anonymous function. I'll tell you what that means. You may have heard that used. Okay, so you write the word function with 2 parentheses. Like this, okay? And I'm going to use 2 curly braces. So you see my order here, I write the word function, 2 parentheses, and then 2 curly braces. And then between these 2 curly braces is where I'm going to do all my work. But before I forget, I'm going to put a semicolon at the very end. That's kind of the end of this sentence. So my function is right here. I'm going to write the instructions for the function right between these 2 curly braces. So I'm about to hit enter a couple times, so don't freak out. So I'm going to move that down here. Now I'm going to write my function in here. Okay? So this is an anonymous function because anonymous meaning it has no name. It's simply a function that executes. It doesn't have a title. So it's executing when the green button is mouse downed or pressed. Okay? So what do we want to do? What we want to do is change something about the green button itself. So I'm going to set the property. Set property. You can see set property takes 3 parameters as well. The ID of the thing you'd like, okay, so it's the green button. Then it's the property that you'd like to change. Can you guess what we're going to change? Yep, background color, comma, the value. Now this is kind of the tricky part. What we're going to do is pass in a string, meaning it has to be in quotations, of the hex value that we want it to change to, okay? So let's do, I know the green lit up that I want is 00FF00, okay? Hopefully you studied a little bit about hex colors in your class, and it's basically, this is the amount of red, this is the amount of green, and this is the amount of blue. It ranges on a scale from 0 to F, Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E, F. So I've maxed out the green. So when I click this now, it should turn the button green. Let's go ahead and check. Okay, right now if we run the app, when I press down, I get a fully green button and it stays green. So we're getting there, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to make it so that it turns off too, okay? So I don't want an app. So I guess the way I'm gonna define the button to be flashed is like not like while you're holding it down. I'm just gonna let it be. I wonder if we could do it so that when you mouse up, let's do that. Let's actually make another pairing, okay? Actually, in my other version of this app, it kind of just lit up for a certain amount of time, no matter if you're holding the mouse down or not. It just kind of lit up for like a second. Maybe I'm going to be adventurous here, and I'm going to see if I can make it so that maybe when I let go of the button that it turns off. So essentially it's going to be very similar. What I'm going to do, it's so similar in fact, that I'm going to copy that block of code, and I'm going to paste it below. Only now the mouse down function, it's not going to be mouse down. I'm going to see if it has mouse up. Does it have mouse up? It does indeed have mouse up. So I'm going to change mouse down to mouse up. Make sure you don't have too many quotations like I did. And I'm going to change the background color back to the AA. Okay? So everything is the same about the mouse down and the mouse up functions, except for, I guess, the word mouse down and mouse up, and then the color that you want when you mouse down and the color that you want when you mouse up. Now, don't worry, these do work as well for touches, okay? So touch down and touch up are also considered mouse downs and mouse up. So if you're going to put it on your phone, it'll still work, okay? So let's see if this works, okay? So when I hold it down, it stays green. When I let go, it turns off. That actually feels it feels real. Okay, so actually maybe I like this one more than my original. Okay, so there we go. So how would you do this if you wanted to do this for every button? I guess I'm just going to copy this pairing here, and I'm going to make one for each button. Okay, so I'm going to do that really quick. But if you do need to pause the video because I'm doing it faster than you, so I guess this will be green. I'm going to make little comments here. Green press. So I don't kind of lose track of what I'm talking about here. So this one will eventually be the red press. This next one will be the yellow press. And this next one will be good old blue press. It's my favorite color. Okay, enough of that. Okay, red press. So eventually what we're going to do here is just going to be changing these. Red button, okay, the red button, and then I want this to also, I'm going to copy red button here. So I'm going to write red button once, copy it, paste it everywhere that once had green button. So I'm going to try to do this, show you how to do this copy paste kind of style in a pretty quick way, okay? So I'm going to change all of the names of the buttons first, and then I'm going to go back and get all the colors. This is how I'm going to do it. It's up to you how you do yours. I'm going to try to show you how this cannot, this can be not so bad. So now this is the yellow button section, so I'm going to change all these to yellow buttons. Okay. Blue button, finally, it's not that bad, right? So blue button. Copy and paste this. Now feel free to pause the video if I end up getting done before you do. Blue button. Okay, now I need to change the colors correctly. Green is all good to go. The red is very similar. It's just going to be the F's in the front and the zeros out back. So it's hashtag FF0000. And then it's going to be the A's there. Actually, didn't I have them as 9s? I think 9. I actually had these as 9s. It's really going to be indistinguishable. If you used A's instead of 9s, it's almost indistinguishable. So my colors are going to be from F's to 9s, in case you're wondering, if you want it to match perfectly. So my reds should be good. My yellows are a little different. It's it's going to be all F's. So 4 F's and then 2 zeros. And then I'm going to have it be 4 9s and then 2 zeros. Okay. And my blue is finally just the F's at the end. Okay, so the F's will be at the end, so I'm going to have 0 0 0 0 FF and then 0 0 0 0 9 9. I guess I used A, and that's very close to a 9 9. All right, so this should be solid now. I feel pretty good about that, how that went. So pause the video if you need to catch up with me. I expect that if you kind of did this really fast like I did, that there'll be a couple errors. Don't freak out. Go back and look. See, look carefully. Did you have too many quotations? Do you have too many parentheses? Let's see, is this working? Yeah, so I guess so. I mean, this blue one is kind of weird. It's like, it's almost like less blue. It's kind of weird. It's like, let's see, RGB. So that blue lighting up isn't quite as exciting. It's possible. Do I have, what's the ID of this thing? This is, oh, okay. Oh, I have a little mistake here. Did you see this? Maybe you guys noticed this and I didn't. My blue button is called button 4, and that's not good. Look at this. You can kind of see ID is yellow button, green button, red button, button 4. Clearly not smart. So I'm going to change this button's name to blue button. And then that should fix that problem. There we go. That looks what I wanted. There we go. Okay. All right. I'm liking it. Okay, so now we have 4 buttons that light up, right? Not bad. Okay, so now what we want to do, so this is great. So now we can kind of, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of slowly scroll through this. If you need to pause over any of these to get yours working, go ahead and pause if there's one of your buttons that's not working. And fix it and then come join us. But what I'm going to do after this is I don't care about these functions anymore. They are good to go. I don't want to see them ever again. So what I like to do usually is I just like hold down the enter key for a little while and I like put it down into the basement and I don't care about it anymore. I just know it works. So I guess that would be an example of abstraction, right? If you talked about that in your class. I can now kind of just assume that it works and know that I don't have to worry ever again about the buttons being pressed and not pressed. Later on, actually, we're going to have to come back here and do some stuff with this to kind of check to see if your answer was right. But for now, we'll just remember that's where they are, is they're way at the bottom. Okay, next. Get the lights to flash. Check. How about get a sequence of lights to flash? Okay? What we're going to need to do first is like, so there's a difference, I guess, between like the way we would press the button and kind of hold it and let go, and the way the computer or the robot Simon will flash the lights at us. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to define a function. Okay, I'm going to define a function called, let's say, flash green. Okay, flash green is going to be a function, and if you're using the blocks, you can drag a function block in there and call it flash green. And what we're going to do is we're going to set the property of the green. Okay, set the property of my green button. Hopefully I don't need to explain this one twice. To set the background color property to, when it turns on, it's going to be #00FF00. Okay, now what I need to do is I want it to turn on, and then I want it to like wait. I'm going to then wait a second, and then turn it back off. So you see this here? So set the property back to what it was before, which was 99. Okay? So my flash green, we don't have this though. Wait a sec. Okay? Wait a sec. Try as you might in the code.org toolbox. I have tried, and I can't find for the life of me anything that is much like a delay function or a wait function. Maybe I'm being ridiculous and I can't find it. I've looked for a little while and I can't find it. So I'm going to make my own. Okay. So let's take a second and do that. Okay. So what do I want it to look like when I call it? I guess I want it to be called like wait. Okay. Wait. And then a number of milliseconds. So like, excuse me, like 200 milliseconds, for example. That's a pretty it's a pretty quick flash. It's like 200 milliseconds is a fifth of a second. So I need to actually define this function called wait. Now this is gonna be a little bit like maybe a little, if you're a beginner programmer, you're gonna have to trust me on this function, and it's not that bad. I'm gonna do my best to explain it. But you don't feel like horribly discouraged if the concept of this wait function is too weird for you. Just kind of trust me and use it when you need it. I find it very useful to have for the Simon game. So let's make a function called wait. And I'm going to put a little variable in here called ms, meaning milliseconds. I just want you to know that this choice of using ms that's not a code for anything in particular. It's what I chose. I could have called it like Frank for all you care. It's going to be a variable that we get to use in here that we get to pass in from up here. So if you're familiar with parameters from your course, basically 200 will get passed in, and then when I say ms in here, it'll mean 200. Okay, so it's a parameter. I'm going to call it ms, meaning milliseconds. Okay, so I need a little local variable called start time. When was the wait began? When did the wait begin? And AppLab has this really cool function called getTime. You see it down here? GetTime is the function. Okay. Now what it does is it basically looks at its watch and it knows what time it is, and it knows it in a very accurate way. It knows down to the millisecond, maybe even more. Okay. I also want to know the current time. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to have, and the current time, I guess, when at the beginning will also be time, right? So I guess the start time and the current time instantaneously are the same, but eventually the current time grows, but the start time stays what it was at the beginning. And then what we're going to do is to see if the current time has grown enough to satisfy what we asked for to wait. Okay? So here's how we're going to do that. We're going to say while. Now how do we calculate how much time has passed? It would be current time minus the start time. That's how much time has passed. Now if that time is still less than what I asked for, which is ms, right? Then what I want to do is just update the current time. Update the current time and say, hey, current time, you now equal get time. Now, by the way, this one down here, this while loop is gonna run over and over again, meaning current time is continuously getting updated. Get time comes back with a different time every time you ask, right? Can you imagine like if you had a watch and somebody kept asking you, hey, what time is it? Hey, what time is it? Hey, what time is it? Right? You would answer differently every time they asked. So will the JavaScript get time method. It will come back a little bit different every time. So current time is growing while start time is not. Do you see that? We don't actually update the start time. So current time will grow, and eventually it will grow big enough to be as big as the milliseconds that we were asking for, and then this function will then end. Okay? So this function, the way we wrote it, will wait as long as we ask for it, anywhere we want in our program. Now we can use wait anytime we want. Okay? Kind of a neat little trick. Okay, so I don't know, maybe I'm being ridiculous and someone's watching this video being like, there's a block for that. I just didn't find it when I was looking. So if there is that block, go ahead and use it. I'm going to go ahead and use mine. Okay, here we go. So let's see, flash green. Okay, so let's see if this works. So I've defined this function. What does this yellow thing say? It's defined, but it's not called in your program. Oh, of course. So if I actually run this, nothing flashes green. So essentially, the program has the instructions for how to flash green. It was just never asked to flash green. So let's do that kind of towards the beginning for fun. Flash green. So maybe this will flash green. Maybe I have an error. I don't know. So let's see. Yay, it flashed green. That was pretty quick, right? So that's how I flash green. And if I change this wait, what if I wait like 800 milliseconds? You see how it stayed on a little bit longer? This wait is really nice. It does kind of hang up your program though, so it can't, while you're waiting, while it's stuck in this wait loop, it can't really listen for things. It can't, the event listener isn't really working, right? It'll handle that after the wait is over. I'm going to go back to about 250 because I think that's probably about the right number for me. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do to end this video is I'm going to go ahead and make these for every button real quick, and then I'm going to call it good, and then maybe this getting a sequence of lights to flash will wait for the next video, okay? So I'm going to make a flash green, and I'm going to make a flash red. I'm going to test all these as well. So I'm going to make this the red button. The color changes a little bit. I'm going to leave, remember, anytime you feel like you need to, just pause the video and take a look at the code, and then also understand it too. Basically, I just changed all the greens to red, and I changed all the green colors to red colors. I don't think that's too surprising. Okay, I need a red one. I need a yellow one. Making all the reds yellows. And my yellow is 4 Fs and 4 9s, followed by the zeros. And then one last is blue. Thank goodness it's not called button 4 anymore. I can't believe I didn't catch that earlier. Blue button, okay. And blue is just all 4 zeros and 2 Fs, all 4 zeros and 2 nines. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually call these flash functions real quick. Flash red, flash yellow, and flash blue. Okay, so we should get 4 flashes in that order. Okay, we do. So I'm a little bit concerned. So if I do, I'm actually going to edit this up real quick before we end the video. It's going to come in handy because I actually made the same mistake in the last time I made Simon. I want the flashes to actually be separated. So notice I put 2 flash blues in a row. This becomes a problem, you can see. Right, the 2 flashes, we can kind of tell that one was longer, but it's not clear that it was like, 2 flashes. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change, I'm going to put a little teeny little wait time afterwards. Okay, teeny little wait time. Maybe even less than 250, just a little one, right? So I'm going to make it wait 100 after each flash is over so that if it does have to do it twice in a row, there'll be a little teeny gap, like a 1/10 of a second, where we kind of get some downtime in between flashes. Let's try that. There we go. Did you see that? So that's more clear. And I think we're kind of starting to see how Simon is going to come together here. Okay, I like it. Those work, and then let's make sure that works. That works. Yeah, I think we're in business here. The text, don't worry about that. We'll fix that in the future. Again, I'm going to do my little slow scroll through the code. If you have any problems, take a look. Slow scroll. And next video, we'll try to do the sequencing, and we'll try to deal with how to maybe deal with rounds and like kind of making the sequence grow. How to deal with like players' answers and things like that, and how to check if it's correct. So all kinds of things we have to think about, and towards the end maybe we'll even have like a score system that it'll store the highest score in like a data table. That would be fun. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and you can see bottom up, this thing, all the functionality is going to be there that we can now abstract, and we never have to think about flash green again, flash red, anything again. It's all ready for us to use. We can now put it in the basement like we did other stuff, and we're ready to rock. Okay, pretty cool. I'll see you guys in a future video. Hope you're enjoying yourselves. Happy coding. Talk to you soon.